Okay, welcome to Progressive Policy Talk. Hey, what is the establishment? When someone says the establishment or the establishment media or something about, hey, the establishment, blah, 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 what does that mean? And it means a lot of things. Let's talk about that because we have something which is we call the establishment, and most people think of it like as a kind of the political DC establishment, meaning District of Columbia, Washington DC, Congress, all the people in Congress, the Supreme Court, all those people, the president, the executive branch, and all those people, kind of a DC cabal of people who think they're in control, and they're kind of subject to all of us voting every 2 years, 4 years, and we vote them out, and they have this kind of reaction, and they're really much, have in their spectrum is their money interests of people who donate to their cause, and to the, lobbyists who are lobbying for certain causes, and Congress people who are accepting money and as bribes. Just say this is the establishment. The establishment can be the status quo of our kind of economy and of our society. The establishment are basically the media. Say, for example, the establishment media would be the top six media who control most or all of 90% of our media. And we're talking Time Warner, Disney, we're talking ABC, NBC, CNN. We're talking about big established media companies. Fox and Rupert Murdoch, the New York Times, the LA Times, most of the major newspapers in the United States. And we have independent media, which we call independent, which could be like The Intercept, various nationalized media like the BBC, PBS, Public Broadcasting Service in the U.S., RT, Russia Today in Russia. These are more independent media, but they still have some bias, and sometimes they are considered to be establishment, especially in the face of something like some of the online news outlets which are taking storm all over the world, like the Young Turks and various other channels who are coming up and showing and telling a different story, telling a story of how people feel about the establishment when the establishment media can't accept the criticism of their stance with their superiority in this media environment. The top media will ignore the will of the people because it's establishment and it has money interests in the political arena. It has money interests in the economy. It has money interests when it gets money from companies who are also in the establishment. We're talking about companies like Comcast, AT&T, Cox, and other big enterprises which have a stake really in our media environment, and this is what we're talking about as far as establishment. And it could be establishment Democrats, for example, is a good part of it. Establishment Republicans. The establishment Democrats, for example, are those interests who really take corporate money and who are kind of beholden to those corporate interests. There are no real independent GOP people who are not in the establishment. I think all the GOP people are in the establishment and vote accordingly. And the Democrats actually have a kind of new wing, if you want to call it a progressive wing, that's anti-establishment. So talking about anti-establishment now, what does that mean? What does anti-establishment mean? And what it means is, it means that some people don't like the establishment of how things are run in DC, in the media, in the political parties, and how the money in politics is corrupting politics. And that anti-establishment feeling is exactly the feeling that people on both sides of the aisle, because sadly we only have two sides of the aisle, and maybe that's a good thing because maybe the good will work. But I am for the progressive establishment of independent media, and I think we need to have an independent political system where the money comes from the public and we distribute the money onto the politicians and we buy it back and they work for us. Okay? That's the deal. They work for us because we buy them and we don't allow other people to buy them. And that is the fix.